Hello, good afternoon. It's a beautiful Sunday. It is the start of Deer Week. I will be in the bush all week, so these videos, though I will be doing them, they'll be a little different format and definitely a different environment. Super excited. Tomorrow is the launch for the new book, the pre-launch. It is available for pre-order tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., I believe. It's ebook format only. Super excited. It'll be guidetothegrind.com. I've included the first section of the first chapter with it. I put my heart and soul into this. I'm pretty excited, and I hope it is what I believe it to be, which is a kind of like an owner's manual for life. Anyhow, it's at a 33% discount. I hope you get it tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Like I said, today is December the 1st. It's Sunday. Whatever you're doing today, it's the start of the holiday season, like officially. Cyber Monday, I think, is tomorrow. Not really into that whole thing, although I realize I'm putting my book out on that day and discounting it, so I kind of guess I'm participating, but it wasn't intentional. We talked about anchoring on Friday. Got some great responses from, we talked about motion creating emotion, and I talked a little bit about anchoring on Friday, and actually my buddy Blake was talking about how he created his state by jumping up and down before, or commented that he jumps up and down before shows and all that stuff, which is really great. It gets you into a peak emotional state. I'm a little hyper because I've been writing. Also just got a fire call, so my brain is just firing on all synapses. It's beautiful. But it's a little difficult for me to communicate still. We're getting there, though. I really need a week in the bush. When we talk about setting our state and creating that with movement, what we can also do is anchor a peak emotional state. So one of the ways they do this, I used to work in an office, in a bullpen, a sales office, where every time you'd make a sale, you'd ring a bell. And at the time, I didn't really understand what the bell was for, but now I understand that every time you hear that bell, it harkens back to a peak emotional state when you rang the bell. And whether it's you or somebody else, much like Pavlov's dog, we begin to salivate because we hear the bell. And it's the most basic of anchor setting. But if we put ourselves into a peak emotional state often enough, we're able to create a motion that links a neural pathway to that higher state of being. So what I do personally is every time I used to step into the ring, I would swing my arms back. And as soon as I do that, my focus starts to narrow. My attention is heightened. And it's only because I was going into a peak emotional state every time I did that, so that motion anchored in my mind. So if you've ever played a sport, if you've ever played, danced, played music, done anything where it required a lot of you and a peak emotional state and a lot of focus, then there was probably something you did that put you into that state of mind every time you got out there and did that. You know, whether it's just the way that you laced up your skates before you step on the ice, or if it's, a certain chord progression that you would practice when you sat down at the piano. We all have these little anchors, though a lot of times they're subconscious. If we're aware enough of them, not only can we figure out what they are, we can repeat them. So the challenge today, aside from having fun and loving the people that you're with, and it's Sunday Fun Day, try and look for where that you created those little triggers subconsciously, because those little great moments of peak emotional performance can be recreated simply by going through that motion again and putting enough memory to it. That's not the way I want to say it. You can kind of relive that moment. You can go back into it in your mind's eye, and it will create that emotional response the same way that it did back then. The brain doesn't know the subconscious doesn't know the difference between real or practiced. So when you go back into it, it's like you're reliving that moment to the subconscious, and it'll allow your brain to release the same chemicals. The norepinephrine, the cortisol, the adrenaline, all that stuff gets released the same way it did in that peak emotional state. So you're able to anchor that emotional state by doing that thing again. Like I said, for me, just moving my arms back and forth allows me to get into that peak emotional state. As soon as I start to feel my upper pecs stretch out, it's like, oh, time to perform. So look for those things. They're really cool. And if you can recreate them, it's not if you can recreate them, when you recreate them, It's a powerful tool for you out in the world, especially when you have to go do things you don't want to do, because sometimes that's a real pain in the ass. And if you don't walk in a peak emotional state, you definitely don't get the best outcome. Anyhow, that's it for me today. Look for the book tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. I'm super excited. There's so many people who said they want a copy. I really appreciate the support. I put a lot into it. But not only that, I'm excited to share the ideas. It's the first time I've put a collage of all the things I've learned over the last 10 or 15 years, and I've learned a lot. I've done a lot of things, and I've had a lot of great people that I've learned from. It's the first time I've put them all together and kind of distilled it down in a way that's both informative and I hope a little bit entertaining, because I've definitely had some misadventures. Anyhow, look for that tomorrow morning. I'll put the link in the description tomorrow. Have a fantastic day. Until tomorrow, know that I love you, and I'll see you soon.